Hello and welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. My name is Kirsty and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my channel where I talk about all things knitting and occasionally other yarny or crafty goodness. And I am coming to you from Rzeszów in Poland, where I live with my husband and my 2 kids. Today I have one finished object for you, which is not knitting or yarny, but it is a long time whip. And I have, I don't know how many, quite a few whips to go through with you today. I also will talk to you about what to expect here on Kirsty Knits and Sews in December. And we are going to do our first giveaway today, which is very exciting. I'm just making sure that there's nothing I've forgotten. All right, so that is a summary of what we're going to do today. So grab yourself a cuppa and some knitting and let's get going. I am drinking Eureka tea in a Maxwell Williams cup called Layla. Both the tea and the cup come from Tea Leaves in Sassafras, Australia, which is my favourite place to buy tea, both for quality and for price. And Eureka is their kind of vanilla blend, which is an everyday tea. I love it. I definitely get it imported. There are teas I like here in Poland. I get this one imported. They ship to Poland, but I have friends bring it for me when they visit. All right, so we're going to start with the non-yarny finished object. Now, if you're new here, this is mainly a yarn, knitting, crochet channel, but I do sew and I've been sewing for about the same time I've been knitting. Years and years and years. But I made a quilt. This quilt I made almost all of it in a couple of months before my daughter was born. My daughter is now 16, 17 months old and I finally finished it. It only had 1 hour and 15 minutes worth of work to go to finish it, but it has sat there for about 18 months not being touched. So I'm going to show you it. And I think you will agree it is gorgeous. Not just pretty, but very, very cute. Let's see if I can stand back here. You're not going to be able to see the whole thing, but it is called Penguin Party is the channel. And it has, wow, this is not going to work very well. It has 16 of these penguins. You know what? I'm just going to insert a picture here. Have a look at this picture. It has 16 penguins. It is an Elizabeth Hartmann pattern if you are interested in making one yourself. But I absolutely love it. It's completely traditionally pieced, no English paper piecing, no foundation paper piecing. But look at that cute little penguin. They come in 3 different sizes, so you can make them as a cushion or put them together as a quilt. And it's just, I absolutely love it. If you are interested in any of the fabrics or anything, it is kind of a scrappy one. I couldn't even tell you what the solids are. I bought them from Hobby Sew in Belconnen, but they could be solid, like Bella solids, Kona solids, or homespun. And the other ones, I remember some of them where I got them, but for the most part, I couldn't tell you, and they're probably not current anyway. So I'm not going to bother with all that information. But like you can see that I did a little bit of fussy cutting. So I started this beginning of 2021. I quilted the entire thing on a weekend away with my sister in either end of April or beginning of May 2021. I had my daughter beginning of June 2021 and I did not finish it, but she's getting bigger. She needed a bigger quilt and I decided to whip it out the other day and finish it off. And like I said, it was just over an hour's worth of work. I pulled it out, I did it while I was looking after my children before their bedtime. And then I finished it. They had a snuggle. I put them to bed. It was amazing. So like I said, this is normally a knitting channel, but I just wanted to share this cute little quilt that I finished. It's not a lap size even, maybe, I don't know, but cute, finished, yay! Alright, and that's kind of part of Whips Be Gone, which is hosted by Devoted Quilter, who I will link below. She does a whips finishing sew along. It's not really a challenge, sew along. Every year in the lead up to Christmas this year. Last year it was until the end of the year, but Christmas knitting and things obviously got in the way. So this year I think she's finishing it at the beginning of December. But that was my one that I was like, I really want to get this finished, and I finished it. Yay! And so much quicker than I thought. So I will link the pattern down below. I think I got mine from a local patchwork shop in Australia, but I will link Elizabeth Hartmann, and I like the pattern directly to her. And if you want a hard copy, you can look around in shops wherever you are. Alright, so everything else today is yarn related. That was my only not yarn related. So if you're here for the yarn and the knitting and crochet, bring it on. Alright, so that's my only finished object, like I said. Now I've got whips. Whips are works in progress. It is my oldest whip that I have here. I started in 2019, I believe. I worked on it in 2020, and then packed it up and hadn't touched it for a year and a half, 2 years. I got it out early this year, and I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast. If you're interested, you can go back to previous episodes and find out more about it. I'm so close to finishing this, it is ridiculous. So this is what it looks like. And you can see down the bottom, they're not sewn together. But the top half is now properly sewn together, and I just have all the ends to weave in. Yes, I did crochet over some of them as I was going, but the way that the pattern works, there are still a lot of ends to weave in. So all I've got to do is finish sewing, I think it's 4 rows, like 4 lines of sewing to go down the bottom, and then weave the ends in. And then I will probably do some kind of border. I mean, I don't need to, but it will just kind of reinforce those joins at the corners and give a bit more of a finished look. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm very, very close, and my goal is to have it finished by the end of November. So that is about 2 weeks away. I am going away for a week of that, so I really need to get going on this because I don't want to take that away with me. That is much easier to just do at home when I've got everything for it. So I should tell you, the pattern, I don't know what it is. It came out of a Granny Square book. I had to make another couple when I came to piecing it, and I just kind of looked at what I'd done and figured it out again. But it was one of those like 100 Granny Squares books that I just went through and found one that I liked. The yarn though is Bendigo Woolen Mills Luxury 8-ply in, can't remember, I think it's Frost, Caribbean and Aqua, maybe? I should know that. Tags. The bag I keep it in is just a little shopping bag from Poland that I picked up when I visited Poland years ago. Here we go. So luxury. So aquarium is the mid blue one. And then coastal blue is the blue, and frost. Frost is the white. That is right. I got that one. And if I can find it, the hook I used is a Susan Bates, it says Mexico, 4.5 millimeter US 7 is what it says, 4.5 millimeter hook. These ones these are the ones that I learnt to crochet on, and I just picked them up on eBay, I think, when I was living in Australia. Sometimes I did buy them from local shops when I didn't have the one I needed and I wanted it quickly. So I couldn't tell you where I got this one, but I can tell you I get cramps after using it. And so I've started using ones that have like the ergonomic handles, which kind of just give you something to hold on to, and I find that easier for long crochet projects. But this is what I used for this one, and I am almost finished it. So like I said, my goal is to have it completely done by the end of November. Hold me to it. Come back in December and see if it's finished. My next one is a knitting project. This one is the Bits and Bobs Blanket by K Jones. And it is scrunched up on needles, so I can't pull it out completely the whole way. But that is what I've done so far. Now, this is a scrappy blanket pattern. It is fingering held double, so you can see I have 2 threads coming off here, and the idea is that you hold one common colour the whole way and then you change the other one. And what that does is it kind of mutes or brings all those colours together because you have a common thread. You could do both scrappy and just marl the whole thing, and it would also look great. A rainbow marled Bits and Bobs would be amazing, like rainbow marled the whole way. Should do that. But at the moment I am doing it according to the pattern. Everything is according to the pattern. It's 4mm needles. I'm using my Knit Pro Novo circulars. I don't know if they're 100 or 120 centimeters, 40 or 48 inches. But they're long enough for this. I could do shorter, but I like having that bit of extra room. And the yarn I'm using, obviously one is scrappy. The other is Easy Care Merino 100% wool, and it's colour 4, I believe. It doesn't have a name on it, just a number, but I think it was like ice grey or light grey or something grey. It was definitely something grey. So yeah, Easy Care Merino. This one I get from Hobby. I think it's about 30 zloty, so about $10 for a ball of 50 grams, which I think is a little expensive for this yarn. I could just be wrong, but I struggle to buy that, so I'm waiting for it to go on sale because I'll need another couple of balls to finish this project. But basically what I'm doing with this is I'm just using any fingering scraps I have that are not stock yarn. So if I have stock yarn, I'll put them aside for scrappy socks. But this one, it's all of my knot sock. So this one was just a knot sock. I have like the one that I'm using now. It's actually a 5-ply, so a sport weight, and it's a crepe. So I don't know exactly what the makeup is, but it's definitely not sock yarn. I have some singles in here. This is from Vera Yarn Designs. I have some polyester in here that was left over from a nativity teapot cozy that I did. This one, my friend made a scarf for my son and gave me the leftovers, so that's 100% wool. This is another singles leftover from a jumper that I've made. So basically anything that I have that is not stock yarn but is a fingering 4-ply, I'll add into this blanket. I may end up adding sock yarn in as well, but at the moment I just have so many that aren't sock yarn that I've just been working through that. And this is so squishy. So squishy and beautiful. I love it. The only change I've made to the pattern is that I've cast on extra stitches, maybe 10. It wasn't many more. She tells you if you want to change the size, what increments to do it by. Like it has to be divisible by something. I don't even remember what it was. I did it a while ago. But I did make it just slightly wider because I wanted it to be a little bit bigger for snuggling. I don't know whether next time I'd make it bigger again. I probably wouldn't make it smaller unless I was making it for a baby. But you know, from what I can see now, it's got a decent amount of drape on either side, so it's good for one person to kind of sit under and knit, and it definitely keeps me warm while I'm knitting. Have I forgotten anything? Oh, it's not brioche. So you can see there, it's not a typical knit purl pattern, but it's not brioche, and it is quite simple. Like it's very simple. It is definitely a beginner's friendly pattern for knitting. Fixing mistakes is a little harder. So if you're concerned about mistakes, I would recommend safety lines, which basically means you just put a piece of thread or a very thin piece of yarn through one entire row of stitches, so that if you make a mistake after that, you can rip back to that part. So you kind of have to put them throughout if you're going to do that. So fixing mistakes isn't easy. I've got a couple that are just there that I haven't fixed. I've got a couple that I fixed wrong, and I'm, you know, this far through and I'm finally figuring out how to fix it right. But definitely in terms of what the knitting is, very simple, very beginner friendly. So it's just up to you of how much you want it to be absolutely perfect, and how much you go, you know what, I made this and I'm okay with this. And I do differ. Some things I'm like, no, I've got to fix this now, and other things I'm like, that's fine. And it just depends on how much it annoys me. This one's not annoying me enough to worry. Another one that I'll show you soon, I frogged and started again. This is a long-term one. It'll be quite a while before I finish it. And I'll probably need more yarn to finish it, almost definitely. Scraps as well as other. But it's really fun to, as I finish projects, be able to add them into that. Alright, my next one is my Twist and Turns Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West. Now this is Stephen West's annual knit along, mystery knit along. This is my second year doing it, and I've had a lot of fun. I've been, like, there are millions of people, maybe not millions, thousands of people knitting along, but I have been doing it with a group of friends, including my sister and my mother, both here in Poland and in Australia, and we have online knit alongs, and it's lots of fun. And so it officially finished, I think, the end of October. But if you don't want to see it, look away now, because I'm going to show my progress, and I'm up to clue 4. I'm halfway through clue 4. So if you don't want to see it, look away. So this is where it begins. This is clue 1. And then you come over, and this stripy bit plus the cables down the bottom is clue 2. And then clue 3 is this big band down the bottom. I've got it in teal. And then clue 4 is this, more stripes, and then adding something onto the bottom down here. Obviously it is very big. Like, that's my wingspan, just kind of to the end of clue 1. And the other side is the same. So this is what clue 3 looks like before you add the other band, or before you add the stripes. It's just a big long seatbelt. Now, a lot of people have finished this and have modded it, and I have also modded it and will mod it some more. The biggest complaint I've heard about it, aside from the amount of stitches and the time it took, I think he gets more and more ambitious every year, because he's like, I've got to do something that's going to wow people and stretch them, and he wants to experiment and try new things, and he wants other people to experiment and try new things. And so it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, or more and more and more work. So it'll be interesting to see if next year goes more intricate and more work again, or if he kind of pares it back and does an amazing mystery shawl that is beautiful in its simplicity. I don't know, we'll see. But this middle part was ridiculous in the amount of time it took. I mean, it's stunning, and I've never tried that style before, but it was a lot of knitting, and a lot of casting on and off, because every 4 rows you were casting off, and then the next row casting on again. Whew, that took some time. So there's that. But then a lot of the final clue, you can either finish like that, or it had more chevrons that come down from that teal bit. Now I decided I didn't like the extra chevrons, but I did want something else there to make it longer. So what I've done is I've done his early bind off, and now my plan is to come and pick up from here in each little indent chevron and do some clamshells. So we'll see how that works. I have a friend coming over today who hasn't done that extended bit but wants to try doing clamshells. And so we'll sit down and play. Someone else has done it from not extended, just from this part here, which is the end of clue 1, has picked up in here and done clamshells. And so my friend's going to try that. I've gone down to the end and then I'll do it and we'll see if it works. And then once that's done, whatever yarn I have left, I will come and finish this. And so that may be main colour, contrast colour, that may be accent colour. We'll see what ends up over here. The one mod I have made so far is here. This little bit is not in the pattern. Originally, it starts here and goes down. I didn't like that kind of sudden stop, so I've done that extra little bit on the side just to smooth it into the rest of the shawl a bit more. And you know, you can see over here it joins up. It's rolling, but you can see over here it joins up. So having that kind of more continuous bottom I liked. So yeah, that's my mystery shawl. The yarn is from Miss Nitsky, who is a Polish dyer. That's the word. Miss Nitsky, a Polish dyer. I've used her 50-50 base, which is 50% silk and 50% superwash merino. It is beautifully drapey. It is soft. It's not as warm as a straight merino because of the silk content, but look at that drape. And it also means that it's quite, like my shawl is kind of stretchier and longer than a lot of people's because of that base. The colours. We have, my accent colour is Jade Empress. The main colour is Midsummer Night. And the contrast colour, the pale one, is called Pearl. Yeah. So that is my mystery twist and turns mystery knit along. I'm just keeping this in a basket that is handmade here in Poland that I picked up from a festival. And because I've been burned a few times for having the basket pick up little bits of the yarn and pull stitches, I'm now keeping it in this bag in the basket. Knitrovert, but willing to talk about yarn. But willing to discuss yarn. This one I got in a Yarnable box. Hypnotic Yarn does a Yarnable subscription box, and I won one last year around this time, which was very exciting. And so this bag came in that, and so I'm using that as a protector for my mystery knit along. Now, the rest of the whips I have to show you, you have not seen yet. Only one of them was started the last podcast, and I didn't show it to you because it wasn't near where I was recording. So this is my first one. 3 out of the 5 of them are socks. This is a vanilla sock. The yarn is Grace by 3 Tree Fibre. Let me pull out. Grace by 3 Trees Fibercraft. And it is on her fledgling 4-ply sock, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams to 400 meters. Oh, sorry, this is called a bide. Not Grace. I've been calling it Grace. I'm silly. This is called a bide. I really like it. It's very pretty. It's a very subtle, kind of more spring flavour to it. But the other day, when I was sick, I think, I needed something that was very simple. And I didn't have any vanilla socks on the go. And so I just went into, I have some pre-wound yarn downstairs near where I usually knit. And so I just went in, grabbed a ball, cast on a sock, and this is it. I am through the heel turn and gusset. I've only done, I don't know if I've even counted, like maybe 15 stitches for the leg, 15 stitches for ribbing. So it's not very much. And then I've done a Eye of the Partridge heel flap, which gives that kind of crossed look. I haven't followed a pattern for this. I cast on 60 stitches. I find 64 too big, and I had found 56 too small, but they seem to be fitting really well now. So I may not have to look for an ideal sock size, but I was trying to figure out if 60 would be a better fit. And so I just cast on 60, and because with a slip stitch heel flap, that would end up not even, it would have been fine. I'm just going crazy. I wasn't doing maths that day apparently. Anyway, I decided to do it and I have the partridge heel instead. Still with a heel turn. I did the heel turn a little different than I would normally do as well, just to adjust for the amount of stitches I had. And I only did 11 repeats, like 11 knit purl rows, which on a slip stitch and heel flap, a slip stitch heel flap, I would normally do 14 or 16 for my size, depending on whether I was doing 56 or 64. And this time I only did 11, because that's part of the part I usually find doesn't fit very well, is this heel flap. So I'm trying to make that shorter and see if that works. I'll let you know. This is on 2.5 millimeter Chow-Gu red lace, and I don't know how many inches that is. 32 inches, 80 centimeters. Look at that. That's where that is. I have been doing this in a bag that I made. My daughter got to it, so it's a bit messy. I make bags. I don't sell them. I don't have patterns for them. I just make them because, like I said, I've been sewing for years. So this one is one that I made quite a while ago, a couple of years maybe. And I love it. All right. So that's that one. The next two are exactly the same except for the yarn. Almost. I just realised a difference. So this one is a Christmas sock. I'm using Christmas sock wool by Hobby. It's 73% wool, 25% polyamide and 2% polyester. This yarn I did not like when I was doing it as a pattern sock, and so I frogged the one that I had with the pattern sock, and I have started this one, which is just vanilla. I also, the pattern I was doing on 2.25 millimeter needles. This is 2.5 millimeter, and I just find it's a nicer yarn. It still feels a little scratchy, a little rusty. I tried it on and it's fine on. I don't have any problem wearing it. It's just knitting it, I was finding it a bit abrasive, maybe is the word. But anyway, this one is for my husband. I'm planning to knit socks for all of us to go in our Christmas stockings. And so this was the first one that I've started. It is a self-striping yarn. This is what it looks like on the ball. It is vanilla socks on, the pattern I've bought is vanilla socks on Magic Loop. These are clearly done on DPNs, and so I'm just adjusting the pattern for a DPN usage because I know her vanilla sock pattern so well. But I'm not going to buy vanilla socks on DPNs because it's the same pattern. It's just giving you tips on how to do it on DPNs versus tips on how to do it on Magic Loop, which is what I normally do. So I haven't rebought the pattern, but it is her vanilla sock pattern, and if you want to do it on DPNs and don't have her pattern, she has a pattern specifically for DPNs and a pattern specifically for Magic Loop and a pattern specifically for circulars. She also has YouTube tutorials for all of them to go with her patterns. So if you're interested on doing a vanilla sock and you haven't tried it yet and you want to know how to do it, you want some help walking you through it, that is the tutorial I recommend. I have a friend here in Poland who has learnt to knit socks based on that tutorial. I learnt to knit socks based on that tutorial. So, recommend. Anyway, so that is that one. I have done a contrast heel flap because I didn't want to ruin, I knew if I did the heel flap in the stripes, it would take 2 stripes and then it would end up being light green, dark green, light green, dark green. Sorry, on the front it would be light green, dark green, light green, dark green. And I didn't want that because there is quite a significant difference between those 2 colours and these 2 colours. So I went to my stash and I found this one, which is just a, I mean, it's a bit deeper than is showing up there, but it's just a deep red. It's actually very close to the red in the thing, but it doesn't have a sparkle. And that is Pattern Tile Merino 4-ply, which is a sock yarn. Now I have 2 balls of this, so I was planning to do a pattern sock with them. I'll just use some heels, toes and cuffs now and then find different socks and pattern socks later. It's 80% wool, 20% merino. Sorry, 80% merino wool, 20% nylon. And it is a thicker, like it is thicker yarn than this one, but that's fine. It's just going to make a nice robust heel and toe. What else to say? DPNs are Knit Pro Zings 2.5mm. Knit Pro Zings have a different colour for every size, which makes it a bit easy to figure out what you're doing. And I just keep them in my DPN needle cozy that, again, I made. Sorry if you're wanting one. I don't sell them and I don't know where you could get one that's a Friends themed. The fabric I got for this was from Spotlight Australia in the, not the clothes sewing quilting area, the house decorating side. I found it over there. And so I bought some. I think it's still 100% cotton. And I have made some bags with it. And I have obviously made some DPN cozies. DPN cozies don't take much fabric. So great for scraps. A 2.5-inch strip, perfect. If you have jelly rolls, bring them out. So that is that one. I'm making that one, like I said, for my husband. I think I said that. And this next one is almost exactly the same, except that it doesn't have a contrast heel flap and heel turn. And it's not Christmas yarn. But it is done 2.5mm Knit Pro Zings. I'm also through the heel flap and turn, and because it's not contrasting, you can see the colours from up here are now in there. But while it still disrupts the pattern on the front, I didn't mind so much. So a lot of the warmer tones, the dark ones, were in the heel turn. But you still got a little bit. I don't mind. I think also because these are already uneven stripes, to have them more uneven, I really don't care. The other one, because they were so even, I was like, do I do a afterthought heel, which was my first thought, but then I know my husband has a large heel, and I know that the slip stitch heel flap vanilla sock pattern fits him, and so I was like, I'd rather do that and make sure he has socks that he can wear, which is why I went for a contrast heel on the last one. So there you go. This is the sock as it's coming. I don't know if I'm past the gusset or I'm close to, but yeah, no, I'm past the gusset. This is plain knitting now. Oh, brilliant. And here I mark every 10 stitches on my sock so I don't have to count. And then when I am doing my second sock, I just move the stitch markers over as I get to that part. So when I finish all the stitch markers here, I know I can cast off, I can do the toe on my second sock. And it's just an easy way to keep track. This wool is Silly Sock by Hobby. So Hobby, HOBBII. I will link them below as well. They have shops around the world. It's just an online yarn shop. But yeah, I wanted to try the yarn to see if it was any good, and it's fine. I'm quite enjoying the socks. They're cheaper. If you get them on sale, they're a good price. If you, like this was, I think 33 zloty on sale, so about 10 Australian dollars on sale for 100 grams. If you're getting it not on sale, it's about $20. Yeah, like 17, 20. So that's the label. It's 25% polymid, 75% wool. Yeah, so like I'm quite happy with this. I will make more socks with this yarn. It feels like it will wear pretty well. It's not as soft as some of my hand dyeds, but I'd say it feels kind of like a Regia patterns, like it's a commercially dyed sock yarn. It feels pretty like a commercially dyed sock yarn. The one thing I'll say is every now and then the twist is quite high in some parts, or like it will get a little bit thinner, but nothing that has made me concerned for the sock. I just keep knitting, it gets back to normal, and it doesn't happen often. It just happens sometimes. And those, I'm calling them, did I just move the camera? Sorry. I'm calling them anniversary socks because it will be our 7th anniversary, I want to say, in January. And 7 years is wool and copper. And so I'm knitting him some socks so he has some wool, and I will see if I can find some kind of copper statue or something, ornament. We'll see. All right, 2 more whips and then we can move on to other things. This next one is Scrappy. I absolutely love this. I only started it this week, last week, as in it's Tuesday now. I didn't say that. Today is Tuesday, November 15, I believe. If Tuesday is the 15th, it's the 15th. If Tuesday is not the 15th, it's not the 15th, but it is Tuesday. I started this maybe on Sunday for Scrappy Sunday. If not, it was Saturday. This is, oops, dropped the yarn. This is my Scrappy corner to corner crochet blanket. It's just the beginnings. As you can see, it's not long enough for a blanket yet, unless it was for a doll. But how Scrappy corner to corner works is you start in the corner here with just 1 square, and the next row has 2, and the next row has 3, and you're just working diagonally across. So you're working from corner to corner. And you basically just work increasing on both ends until you get to as wide as you want, and then you start decreasing. I think you then start decreasing on one end and continue increasing on the other until it's as high as you want it, and then you start decreasing on both ends, and that will bring it back in to nothing. So this is just the beginnings. I'll make this pretty big into a couch Scrappy corner to corner, I believe. And what I'm using for this is all my DK worsted scraps that are not sock yarn. I don't have many sock yarns, but I do like making Scrappy socks out of DK as well. So this is all my DK worsted that doesn't have nylon. It's pretty great. So this is my scraps from my crochet rug, which is on a previous episode, which is scraps from my sea glass sweater, which was scraps from everything else. So this is like 4th iteration scraps, and finally I'm finishing them up. And that's the beauty about this kind of blanket, is I make, this isn't a great example of it because there's only 2 colours left and there were quite big scraps here. So you've got the green and a little bit of blue peeking out here. But basically I make magic yarn balls, which means that I just get all my little pieces, I tie them together, sew them together into one long piece of yarn, roll them up into balls as I go. And then as I'm sewing, I don't have to stop and connect yarn, sew anything in, they're all already in. Now you can make magic yarn balls with magic knots. I do it, I think it's called a Russian join, where I actually sew, like I sew the yarn into itself, and there's a little loop, and then I thread the other yarn through that and sew that yarn into itself. So it creates, I don't know, a join. I don't know how else to describe that. It does mean when you're knitting or crocheting that part, it is thicker than other parts, but in the scheme of things for this, you can't really see. And you do end up with little bits like this that pop out, but you can just trim them off and know that it's not going to break because you've got the sewn part that's then been crocheted and wound around, so you're not worried about that coming undone because there's already, like, you've sewn it in as you go. Yeah, so that's that. I absolutely love it. I'm doing this on my Tulip Timo 3.5mm US size 6 needle. This is, like I said before, the thinner ones I struggle with strain. This one is good, gives me something to hold on to as I'm crocheting. I found it much easier to work with than the thin ones that don't have a handle. This was a recommendation from Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. I really enjoyed it. I do not get the same hand cramps that I get without it or with other ones. Yeah. And this is another long term. I mean, what's in that ball is all the DK scraps that I have at the moment. So as I finish other projects, I will bring them in, add it in, but at the moment, that's all I've got. So that will be a long-term project. Oh, and I'm not following a pattern per se. I'm following a tutorial by My Poppet. She has a blog. She's on Instagram as My Poppet Makes and My Poppet Blogs, I think. She's got 2 Instagrams. But on her blog, she has a tutorial for this. I believe she's already also made that tutorial into a paid for pattern on Ravelry if you just want a little A4 print off, all there kind of thing. You can do that. I just go back to her blog because I don't need to know how wide or how or all those things. It's just, how do I start? How do I increase? Gotcha. So this tutorial is perfect for what I've done. And I've made at least 2, maybe 3 of these blankets before using her tutorial. But those ones were baby blankets, so it was much more the size that she has in her blog. All right, the last one. This is my last whip. And this is in another bag that I made with some fun number material inside. I used to work at fabric shops, patchwork shops. I've worked at one, I've volunteered at another, so I have a lot of fabric that I got with staff discounts, on sales. I have been a big sewer, as you can probably see in the past, and I still love it. I just don't do it as much anymore because it's not as conducive to the raising toddlers as knitting is. But it means that when I show fabric, I don't always know where it's from. So, sorry. And I also don't sell my project bags. I just use them. Alright, although I have back here, you can't see it, it's behind here, but I have some fabric cut out to do a tutorial of how to make a project bag like this one. I mean, this is a piece front, but like this with a bottom, so a pop-up colour at the bottom, something up here, zip, lined, it's got some sew-in lining, I believe. You can also use batting scraps if you're a knitter. Look, this is the same as the binding on this. I love using scraps and leftovers. So I will be doing a tutorial like this. It may not be until January, but like I said, I've got everything cut out. It's just a matter of having time when I'm not recording a podcast where the kids are either away or asleep to record. In the daytime when it's light, because I need light. I don't have studio lights. This is all natural lighting. So that is coming, and that'll just be a separate tutorial here on Kirsty Knits and Sews. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. I will let you know on the podcast when that's done. But all the fabric is out and prepped. I just need the time to record it. So, yay. Alright, so this next pattern is, I have a black and white picture, the Tri-Gradient Shawl by Stephen West. Now this is a pattern that I bought last year in his birthday sale and made last year after his Mystery Knit Along finished. And I made it as a gift for someone, and my husband saw it and said, I really like that, can you make me one? Yes! How exciting when husbands want you to make them something. So I couldn't get the yarn straight away. It was sold out. This is also from Hobby. Hobby was the first place I found in Poland for yarn. So this yarn is also from Hobby. And when it came back in stock, I bought more. So they're both Happy Sheep. It's Magic Sock Wool is the contrast colour, and Baby Wool I've been using for the main colour. So 100% wool, and this is 75-25 wool polyamide. So the black is colour 28, I believe it's charcoal, and they're 50 gram bowls, so you need 4 of them. Magic Sock Wool is colour number 15. It's Sandy Shores or Sandy something. It's 100 gram balls. So I've got 2 of these and I've got 4 of these to make 200 grams of both colours. It's exactly the same colour and everything that I made for the gift. My husband liked it, so he wanted it exactly the same. So this is what I've done. It's a brioche shawl, and that's the back of it. So this side you'll get this beautiful gradient going out, and then on the other side you will still see that gradient, but it's a more muted one. And so it's really helpful that you can wear it in a more muted way or a brighter way when you're styling and going out. It's wool, so it'll be warm. We live in Poland. This morning, I didn't even check the temperature, but when we went out, we were wearing coats and beanies, and our faces were hurting. Probably more because we're getting used to the cold again than it was actually that cold. But it was cold. We're getting cold. So a wool scarf shawl for my husband. I told him last year I'd make it, and that I'd make it by the time he needed it this year. I have had the wool sitting there for a while. I finally cast it on because it is a pretty mindless knit. If you know how to do brioche, this is the one I made last year was my second brioche thing. The first one was in the Mystery Knit Along. There was a brioche section. So this is technically like my 4th brioche thing because I also made myself a cow. But it is something that you get into the rhythm of, and this is a section of brioche, and then as it gets bigger, a lot of it becomes just garter stitch. So it's even easier again. I don't know, I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I did get this far the other day and I made a mistake. On one of the wrong side rows, so you do 2 rows right side and then 2 rows wrong side, so you're working both colours. You're working main colour across and then contrast colour across, and then you turn it around, main colour across, contrast colour across. So on one of the wrong side rows of the main colour, where I was meant to be purling, I actually knit them all. And it wasn't super obvious because obviously the black stitches aren't as pronounced as the other stitches, but it was obvious enough that it was frustrating me as I kept knitting. And so I frogged the whole thing and started again. And now I'm happy. So this is where I was at when I frogged it. So I haven't made any more progress than that, but I only started it Saturday, maybe, the other day. I told my husband I'd knit it for him. He doesn't know that I've started it, so it's just sitting there, and I'm trying to work on it when he's not around so I can kind of surprise him when it's done, but we'll see if he remembers. All right, so we're going pretty well. That is it for whips. I am going to set a couple of goals for the next podcast. So the next podcast should be December 6th, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I want to have this crochet blanket finished. Done, dusted, border finished. If the border's not finished, I at least want it to be all woven in and sewn together. But I mean, at that point, what's a border? Border should be fine. I should be able to do that. I want to have my twists and turns mystery knit along finished, which means I need to figure out what I'm doing at the bottom and finish the side bit. The side bit will be easy, quick, no problem. It's just about figuring out how I want to finish it. And at the end of the day, if I can't figure something out, I'll just block it and call it done. Wear it as a scarf rather than a shawl. It'll be fine. And it's not a goal per se, but I will probably have at least one pair of socks done, maybe two, because I want to get them done by Christmas, which means I need to get them done before Christmas knitting, advent knitting starts. All right, so acquisitions. The only thing I have received is my Charming Colourwork Socks book. This is one that I bought that was meant to arrive on my birthday. I bought it on Amazon. They said, I got something saying that it wasn't available. Like I pre-ordered it on Amazon. The day it was meant to be delivered, I got email saying, sorry, we don't have it. There's been a supply problem. We'll let you know when it's ready. If you have any questions, you can click through here and you can cancel your order again or you can whatever. I never cancelled my order, but it didn't arrive. And a month later, I looked to see if it was still coming and they had cancelled my order. They hadn't sent me an email saying they had cancelled my order. So I was a bit annoyed and I went on to see if I could reorder it and the price had jumped 20 zloty, 30 zloty, like about $10. And I was like, no. I ordered this. You should be sending it to me at the price that I ordered it, which is your price guarantee. But it was like, it was there. It was like, we'll ship it the next day, but you've got to pay $10 more than you thought you were. And so I didn't. And I sat on it and I was like, maybe I'll send them an email and say, this is what's happened. And you've cancelled my order, but here's my emails proving that this is what happened. Because I didn't just cancel it and say order cancelled. It had just disappeared from the system. But I still had the emails. And then I went on to figure that out and do that, and it was back down to the price that I had originally paid. And so I ordered it again, and it was delivered the next day. Go figure. So anyway, this is a little rant. This is Charming Colourwork Socks by Charlotte Stone, creator of Stone Knits. I've been looking at her colourwork socks for ages. She has beautiful ones, beautiful patterns. Here's a little tasting of things in the book. How cute are these? I love her style. I actually want to buy more and more of her patterns, but I figure I should knit through these ones before I buy more individual patterns. I'll try not to show any spoilers, but check that out. Egg socks. The toes are eggs with chickens. I love it. They're just cute, fun socks. Chili peppers. I would definitely recommend, from what I can see, it is beautiful. I haven't started any patterns yet, and I probably won't until January for reasons that will become obvious very soon. But I really love them, and if I do start one, it'll probably be the Christmas winter ones. But I can knit winter socks, snowflake socks in winter here completely easily because we usually get snow. I think it was like February or March last year that the snow melted. So I can make snowflake socks in winter. But yeah, I would definitely recommend, and I will keep you posted on when I cast that on. I'm very excited. Okay, so plans for December. I will just say that's all of my whips and finished objects. I do have a giveaway that I'm going to do right after this. But I just want to talk about plans for December because Vlogmas is coming up and all sorts of things, and I'm a new podcast, but I want to let you know what we're going to do. So obviously the main highlight of December is Christmas and celebrating Jesus' birth and God becoming man. That is the main highlight of December. I've always loved traditions in the lead up to that. As kids, we always put up our Christmas tree on the 1st of December and put up our nativity and read a book about Jesus' birth. And there's a lot of anticipation in that lead up to Christmas. I love Advent. I love Advent calendars. And so with the kids, I've tried to figure out how to do this well. And I finally got an Advent calendar last year by Raising Disciples, which I absolutely recommend, and I will link it below. And what she does is she just has little, like kind of baubles, little circles that you can kind of peg onto a string, and every day has a Bible passage, which she's done to go with, I believe it's the Big Picture Story Bible, but if you don't have that one, you can substitute any other kid Bible, and some days will have passages from a regular Bible. So use whatever translation you usually use. But we did it last year and the kids loved it, particularly the one who was old enough to talk and turn pages and find passages and chapters. He loved it. And if we didn't do it every day, we would do it, you know, if we missed a day, the next day we would do 2 chapters or 2 passages. And he really loved that. He would often be like, can we do another one? Can we do another one? Can we do another one? But what she does is, rather than a gift-based Advent, it's an activity-based Advent. And so she gives a whole bunch of ideas that you can do for activities. Some of them are crafts, some of them are going out, some of them are more prep, some of them are no prep. And so they're on little cards. And so you can, what I did was I would put a card with the bauble, and then when we read the passage, we would then be like, and this is an activity we can do. It usually didn't relate, but it was fun. And then it also meant that I could change it. So if I realized that we did not have time to do something that day, I would just take away the activity and would do the reading. It was very, very flexible. So we'll do that Advent again. But what I was trying to figure out is how to then bring something for me and my husband into that as well. And the best I could come up with was tea, which I will do this year as well. I've got some tea that I will bring into that Advent. But I also have seen the Advent calendars for yarn. And obviously I love yarn. I love Advent. What could be more fun than to put those two together? But Advent calendars of yarn are very pricey because of the work that goes into it, the dyeing, the prep. It's a lot of time for people who make them, which means it's a lot of cost. And I didn't have the budget for that. So my sister and I have swapped Advents. We've made one for each other based on just using whatever scraps we have. So we've got 24 20-gram minis that we have prepared for each other and swapped. And then we decided to make it a bit more fun, to make it friends themed. So this, starting December 1st, I will be opening my Advents and I will be knitting, and I will try and do knitting every day of that Advent. I mean, I usually knit every day anyway, so this will just be putting my focus onto Advent knitting rather than other knitting that I'm doing. And I also then found what was meant to be a charms for necklaces and bracelets Advent, but they make perfect progress keepers, and it's also friends themed. So what's going to happen this year is I've got my yarn advent that my sister's made. I have a friend's advent that is Progress Keepers. I will have tea. And the kids will have, I'll still do the advent with the kids with the activities and the Bible passages. All of that will be happening every day in December. Now, what also happens in December is Vlogmas, which, if you don't know, Vlogmas is basically just people who have podcasts or vlogs go online and record a short thing every day of what they're doing that is whatever they want. So for me, it would be knitting related and Christmas related things that we're doing. You know, if I go to the shops, I might include that. If we're playing in the snow, I might include that. But it's more of, it's not a sit down and talk to you for however long type thing. There'll be little bits of that, but it's more, if I'm knitting, I might record a little bit of me knitting so you can see what I'm doing. A little bit with the kids maybe. We'll see how it goes. So I am planning to do that, but I don't know how much time I'll have to actually do editing. So my plan is, my hope is, that I'll be able to record during the day, and then when the kids go to bed, edit and upload. It may be that I end up uploading the next morning, or that I end up editing the next morning, or occasionally I might just put 2 or 3 days together, depending. But my hope is that I would be able to upload every day, or at least 6 out of 7 days upload. I also normally do podcast episodes every 2 weeks. I won't be here in 2 weeks, I'll be away, but Vlogmas will start just after that. So I'll get back on the 30th of November, and Vlogmas starts on the 1st of December. So my next regular episode I will still record on December 6th. And we'll go from there. I did want to say about advent knitting, if you have any ideas, let me know. The advent I'm getting from my sister, or that I had from my sister, I know it's all 4-ply, it's all fingering weight, but it's not all sock yarn. And so there's an advent sock by Remembrance Pottery. Is that right? I'll try and link it below. There's an advent sock that I would like to do. But there's also, I was thinking it would be nice because they're not all socked, maybe make sweaters. And that's quite a lot of yarn. So I could split it up into 2 sweaters for my 2 kids and do kind of like a cool colours for my son and warm colours for my daughter. And just make a stripy whatever comes out, because it's not in any order, the advent colours. So I was like, I could do that and make 2 scrappy jumpers, and then whatever I have left over, put into a scrappy granny square blanket. Yeah. Just seems like a lot. So let me know what you think. It means that every day I'd be adding a stripe to 1 sweater. I wouldn't be adding to both. And the pattern I was thinking of doing for that would be Flax by Tin Can Knits. Yeah. So if you have any ideas for a non-sock yarn advent calendar where it's not necessarily a colour gradient or colours that go together, it's just scraps, let me know. I would be interested. Comment down below. But at the moment what I'm thinking is, if it's sock yarn, add it into the socks, and then into the 2 sweaters, and then into a crochet. It would be funny if I could do that and not have any scraps left over at the end of Advent, but we'll see how much time I have. But like I said, the next podcast will be December 6th. And I was looking the other day and I realised we're almost at 100 subscribers here on YouTube, which is exciting because this is only my 9th, this will be my 10th episode. I didn't come into this from a shop or any kind of public persona at all. Like, this is just me sitting down being like, hey, I like knitting, let's share what I'm doing. So to get to 100 is amazing, because that means that there's 100 people out there who are just like, hey, I like you and want to hear what you have to say about knitting. Blows me away. So I want to do a 100 subscriber giveaway. Now, it's not sponsored or anything like that. This is just me saying thank you. I expect that by the time I record on December 6th, I will have 100 subscribers. And I also suspect that if any new subscribers come on, they'll be watching this episode because this is my most recent episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the giveaway now so that next episode, when I'm at 100 subscribers, I can give the prize away on the next episode. So, to enter, comment below, and in your comment include the word Advent. 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 If you comment below and include the word Advent, I will include you into the draw for the 100 subscriber giveaway. I'm just making a note. Advent. So you don't just have to write Advent. It'd be cool if you could tell me if you have an Advent, what you're doing for Christmas. Give me some information so I can actually read and get to know you a bit better. But if you include the word Advent, I will do a search and draw a prize for someone who has used the word Advent down below. It'll be random. But if you win, you will get this. So this is a skein of yarn that I dyed myself. I just like craft. I don't sell yarn, but this is a skein of yarn that I've dyed myself. So it's this beautiful, rich, pinky purple colour. I mean, it's definitely purple, but a pinky purple. And then it just has this little pop of green in the top. I don't know how to open it up. I've never dyed one like this before. I've never knit one like this before. But yeah, just a little pop of green in an otherwise purple skein. It is sock yarn, 25% wool, 25% polyamide, I believe, but definitely sock yarn. So you can make a pair of socks out of it. This is the prize. It is hand dyed by me, and then with it are just some little cute stitch markers, because I thought with the pop of green, some green stitch markers would be cute. These ones were a gift for buying yarn at a shop, and I can't remember the name of it, but they just gave me 2 little packs of stitch markers, so I thought I would pass one of them on to you guys as part of this prize. So this is the 100 subscriber giveaway. Next, like I said, I'll just reiterate this, next episode I expect we will be at 100 subscribers. So preemptively, we're having a giveaway. Comment below Advent, you will go in the draw to win this prize. 100 grams of sock yarn and 4 stitch markers. And next, before I record next time, I will pick a winner and then I will announce it on the next episode. So there you go. Thanks for joining me and coming to listen to me talk about my yarn, my knitting and fun. I believe that's everything. Oh, chatter. So I will just give you a little bit of a background of what's been going on here. If you're just here for the yarn, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. If there's something you want to see in Vlogmas, or if you have any questions, also comment them down below, because I'd love to know what you want to see here in this space, because like I say, I do dye yarn, I do sew, I definitely knit, I crochet. There's a lot of things I do, and I'm kind of just making this about knitting for the most part, or yarn. But if there's something else you want to see, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I can also, like, podcasts can keep being about yarn, but if you want to know something about sewing, I can do special sewing episodes or something like that. So let me know. I'm interested to see what you actually care about. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about a little bit of chatter. So if you're just here for the podcast, for the knitting, you can leave now. Thank you for coming. If it's your first time or if you're returning, thank you. So a little bit of chatter. My whole family has been sick, which I don't think I was due to record last week, but I couldn't have because we were all sick. I think we've been sick for a couple of weeks now. Both my kids have had croup. We moved my daughter in, they share a bedroom, and we moved my daughter into the bedroom that me and my husband have, so that we could hear her overnight if she had any trouble breathing. And there were quite a few times where she'd wake up with kind of problems breathing. So get her up, help her breathe, calm her down, put her back to bed. It was more nights than we expected. With my son, we've had it before, and it's usually been 1 or 2 nights, and then it's been okay. With her, I think she was in with us for almost a week, just so that we could make sure that she was breathing properly. She is basically better, still has the cold-like symptoms, but basically better, and is back in her own room with her brother, and they're sleeping. Yay! If you have 2 toddlers, you know how rare it is that they both sleep together and don't wake each other up. So yeah, that's basically been what we've been doing, is we've just been dealing with sickness. I got it as well. Obviously didn't have trouble breathing, but I had the sickness. My husband escaped it, but he has been working really hard finishing his last coursework subject for his master's, which he has done. Yay! And so now he's got a bit more space to think and do other things as well. We obviously are still learning Polish, lots and lots to learn. I went up a level recently, and so did my husband, so we're both now learning A2 level. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to learn another language and then to be able to go out and speak it immediately. Like, there are things that I will learn in class that I will utilise that day because I go to the shops and I need to find something or ask someone or talk to someone. Yeah, it's very immediate feedback when you're learning language in a country that speaks that language. Upcoming, so I've spoken a bit about Christmas and December and vlogs and things, but we are going away for a week for a work thing, but part of that will be going to a knitting festival, Velnianitag, which is, or a wool market is what it translates to literally, but Velnianitag in Wrocław, which is about 5 hours west of where we live here in Poland. But it's still in Poland, and we're very excited because we'll get to see a friend while we're there and visit one of the local churches. We know the pastors of the church, so we get to visit the church, catch up with friends, catch up with another friend who doesn't go to that church, and go to a knitting festival, and all part of a work week in that town. So we're very excited for that, both for the catching up and on my part for the yarn. And hopefully I'll get to meet some more of my Polish online friends that week. We will be staying in a castle because in Poland there are lots of castles that have been converted into hotels. So we'll be staying in a castle. I'm so excited. That is just so novel to me. In Australia we don't have castles. All of our kings and queens have always been living in England, so we don't have castles in Australia. Yeah. Very, very excited about that. And then also while we're in Wrocław, their Christmas markets are going to open. Or maybe they even open before we get there. But they'll be open when we're there. And so we're going to go to the Christmas market, and I will try and remember to take some video while we're there, because I can't. I love Christmas markets, and I'm hoping that there's even some snow for it. It may not be, but we'll see. So that is what's coming up for us. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, I think there's that work trip, and then it will be 100% into Christmas. We'll be putting up decorations December 1st. We will, obviously continue work and language learning up to Christmas. And then we'll have a family Christmas with our teammates. My family lives in Australia. My husband's family live in Australia. So all of our family is in Australia, except for one uncle who lives in Spain, or some uncles who live in Spain. So our Christmases here are nuclear family, my husband and me and our 2 kids. But our workmates, our teammates, we're very close with. We call, my children call one of my workmates Chocha Sarah, Auntie Sarah. I'm trying to get them to call our bosses, or one of my bosses, Gramps, or Jadek, which is Polish for Gramps, Grandpa. But we're all very close, and so it's just a bit of fun. And we'll do Christmas with them to kind of give that big Christmas feel. But that's at least 1 or 2 podcast episodes away. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. So thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me. It has been a blast to share these things with you. Come back December 6th. Comment below, Advent, if you want to go in the draw to win this prize. I will draw it December 6th. And keep an eye out for Vlogmas. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and that will ensure we're at 100 subscribers for that giveaway. Cool. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you hopefully December 1st for Vlogmas, but also December 6th for the